Why do bad things happen to good people? This query has puzzled philosophers, theologians, and seekers of truth for centuries. It's a question that gets to the very heart of our understanding of existence, justice, and the nature of the universe. First, let's consider the perspective of the Buddha. The Buddha taught that life is inherently impermanent and filled with suffering, dukkha. This suffering arises from our attachments and desires, our clinging to the illusion of permanence in a world that's ever-changing. In this view, suffering is not a punishment meted out by a higher power, but rather a fundamental aspect of existence. Bad things happen not as a consequence of moral failing, but as an inevitable part of the cycle of life. The Buddha's answer to this was not to seek to avoid suffering, but to understand its nature and to transcend it through the path of enlightenment. Now let's turn to the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna advises the warrior Arjuna. Krishna teaches that one must perform their duty, dharma, without attachment to the results. This is the path of karma yoga, acting rightly without concern for personal gain or loss. In this light, the good or bad outcomes of one's actions are less important than the spirit in which one acts. The universe operates according to its own laws, and individual suffering or fortune is but a small part of a much larger, inscrutable, cosmic order. From a more Western perspective, let's consider Immanuel Kant. Kant posited that we live in a world of appearances shaped by our perceptions and our mind's categories. He also introduced the concept of the categorical imperative, suggesting that we must act according to principles that we would want to be universal laws. Yet Kant acknowledged that our rational minds cannot fully comprehend the ultimate nature of reality, including why good or bad things happen. The noumenal world, the world as it is in itself, remains beyond our grasp. And so, what can we take from these perspectives? One common thread is the idea that our human understanding is limited. We perceive the world through the lens of our own experiences, desires, and fears. In doing so, we create distinctions of good and bad based on our subjective preferences and societal norms. Yet, the universe itself is vast, complex, and often indifferent to our individual notions of justice. It operates on a grand scale where our human categories and moral judgments might not apply. The Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu put it simply, "The Tao does not act from benevolence. It moves by its own nature." When bad things happen to good people, it is not necessarily a reflection of cosmic injustice, but rather the unfolding of the intricate, interwoven fabric of existence. Recognizing this, we might find solace not in seeking reasons for our suffering, but in understanding and accepting its place in the broader tapestry of life. Embracing this perspective, we can cultivate resilience and compassion. We can acknowledge our suffering, seek to alleviate it where possible, and use it as a means to deepen our understanding and empathy. In doing so, we transcend the simplistic dualities of good and bad and move towards a more holistic understanding of our place in the universe. So, my friend, while we may not find a definitive answer to why bad things happen to good people, we can find wisdom in the teachings of the great philosophers and sages. We can learn to live with grace and equanimity, accepting the ebb and flow of life with a serene heart and an open mind.